Okay, go ahead.
How do you feel about QuAIA marching in our Pride parades, and will you continue to fund Pride if they do?
Olivia's first.
This question was raised in the afternoon today. My answer is the same as it is. The City of Toronto had a human rights policy, and there was a process that was that I think even Brent Hawkes was involved in it, with dispute resolution between the Pride Parade and any organizations that want to march or there was any problem. And also, the process went through City Hall, and the City Hall said, both the solicitor and the city manager said that it was not breaking any law, it was not hate, and under Canada's freedom of speech, the Canadian law, that they can march with the Pride Parade. As a result, the Pride Parade got the funding, the city funding, and I fully support that decision.
John.
Well, I want to begin by acknowledging the incredible importance of Pride to Toronto and my strong, long-standing support for it. It needs to thrive going forward, and it needs to have the city funding. And I also am a believer that free speech is important. However, I believe that we should be looking, if the legal opinion that was rendered at the time was that the use of the phrase Israeli apartheid is something that was not in violation of the city's human rights policy, then I think we should be changing that policy. And as far as I'm concerned, we should change it to say any organization of any kind or any publicly funded parade that uses those words should not receive that funding. I mean, I will tell you that if there was a parade put on by the Jewish community that included somewhere in its ranks a group of people who are virulently anti-gay, I would say the same thing. I would say that I would withdraw that public funding. And so, but if the policy is such that it doesn't permit for the funding to be withdrawn because it's complicit with the current policy, then I would change the policy and say if you use those words, any organization at all, then you shouldn't get the funding.
I suspect we'll have some debate on this. 2.5 minutes to continue the debate.
Well, we live in a country that celebrates democracy. And Israel is a democratic country, and so is Canada. And I think it's important that if the experts, in this case, both the city solicitor and the city manager, said very clearly that no law has been broken, then we have to trust the expert's opinion. That is their legal opinion, right? So if no laws are being broken and they do not define it as hate, if that is the case, then whether we agree with them or not, they have every right to be and to exercise their point of view. So I don't understand why we would revisit this decision. And it was a very divisive discussion in the community in 2011, 2012. And then now there is finally some resolution. I think it's important that that decision is made by City of Toronto. And I can't imagine what message would be if Pride, this is World Pride, remember 2014 this year, that if they lost their funding, what message are we sending out to the Pride organizers? And that's just not fair.
I just believe that sometimes you have to take a stand on these things. And there was a motion put in front of the City Executive Committee as part of this decision-making process you talked about, Olivia, that said that in light of the purposes of the grant policy and community complaints, Council should give specific direction for the imposition of a condition of funding for the 2013 Pride event, in this case, that the term Israeli apartheid not be permitted to be used as part of the event. And I think if you simply change the policy and thereby said that no lawyer is going to say that it's not specifically mentioned or give a legal interpretation, I just happen to believe that in a city, and this is what we were talking about at lunchtime today in front of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, in a city that says that it prides itself on embracing diversity and that we don't believe people should be going around spewing hateful kind of language and expressions and so on, then we should be saying in our policies that kind of language is not going to be supported by public funding. It is inconsistent to do that.